Potential new bombshell development in the Ukraine scandal involving President Trump. A report by the Washington Post reveals a major effort inside the White House to try and justify delaying U.S. military aid meant for Ukraine.
In an August email, acting White House Chief of Staff Mick Mulvaney apparently asked officials in the budget office if there was a, quote, legal justification for the delay. This is all part of the Democrats' impeachment investigation. They're trying to figure out and prove that President Trump delayed the aid for personal political reasons. So joining us now with more on this is CBSN political contributor and national politics reporter for the Washington Post, Sean Sullivan. So, Sean, we know about this because of an internal investigation by the White House. When did that occur, and when is that important? Or why is that important, rather?
Right. Well, what my colleagues at the Post are reporting about this internal investigation or inquiry that the White House counsel's office has been undertaking is that it began after the initiation of the impeachment inquiry in September. And so what it looks like the White House counsel's office is trying to do is a couple of things. One, look at what, if any, correspondences are relevant to that inquiry potentially, and establish a timeline of what decisions were made when, who was talking to who was in touch with who, so that the White House actually knows exactly, kind of what happened, how it unfolded. And why is this important? Well, remember that this decision by President Trump to put a hold on military aid is at the center of this impeachment inquiry. Lawmakers right now are looking at a fundamental question. They're looking at the question of whether the president used his office to pressure a foreign country to investigate a political rival, and whether lawmakers feel like that justifies impeachment and potentially removal from office. So this is right at the center of the issues that lawmakers on Capitol Hill are trying to discuss.
Yeah, in fact, the article in the Post describes these documents as an extensive effort to justify the president's decision to freeze aid to Ukraine. In other words, the president freezes aid, and after the fact, folks within the administration are trying as best as they can to find a legal justification for something, and they wouldn't be doing that if they didn't find the initial action, in other words, freezing the aid, to be problematic.
Yeah, and if we look at what my colleagues are reporting in this story today, there are a few things that stand out. One is, what did Mick Mulvaney, the acting White House Chief of Staff, want to know and when from OMB? It looks like from this reporting that he did touch base with budget officials and wanted an update on what the legal justification would be for making a decision like this. Another thing to point out in this story that is important is it looks like there has been some dispute between NSC officials, State Department officials, and OMB officials about whether this step of placing a hold on this aid was justified, was legal to begin with. So that could potentially open up another chapter that lawmakers might be interested in when they look at this topic as they move forward with the impeachment inquiry.
And we're hearing that White House lawyers are allegedly expressing some concern about some unflattering exchanges that could be revealed, exchanges unflattering for the president. What do we know about that?
Yeah, that is another notable part of this report. It's not clear yet exactly what that might be. It's also not clear whether there are any, potential legal issues that would result as a result of these emails. But certainly now, I think you might see lawmakers take more interest in what this review undertakes. And then the question is, what, if anything, will be made public? What, if anything, will be presented to lawmakers as part of their impeachment inquiry? Because, of course, there has certainly been some back and forth between White House officials and Democratic lawmakers on Capitol Hill in terms of cooperation in this impeachment process. So we'll see where this leads, and if Democrats are able to obtain any of this information as they move forward, as they try to present this case to the American public as this impeachment inquiry rolls forward.
The review also, Sean, as you know, appears to involve some key White House officials, including the acting Chief of Staff, Mick Mulvaney. But I guess my question is, who else could be involved?
Yeah, right now you have to look at several people, or at least several agencies. Certainly OMB is somebody, is an agency, and the acting OMB director is one person to keep in mind. Mulvaney certainly is somebody who's going to face a lot of scrutiny right now. And then also State Department officials, NSC officials, what did they express to budget officials about this decision to put a hold on aid? And of course, the White House counsel's office itself, which is at the center of this internal inquiry inquiry, which is basically taking charge of this right now. And how does the White House counsel's office work or not work with Mick Mulvaney, the acting White House chief of staff? So there are a lot of different moving parts and a lot of different agencies and individuals to keep an eye on as we look for more developments coming out of this.
Who was in the loop?
Who was in
ask once more.
Well, Gordon Sondland says, quote, everybody was in the loop.
Yeah, for his situation, for sure. So listen, speaking of in the loop, could this be a problem for the president? I mean, legally, not just, bad PR.
Well, it's unclear yet whether this is a legal problem for the president. It appears that there's some concern that this could potentially be a political problem for the president, and this certainly does draw more scrutiny to the role that specific high-level administration officials and White House officials, including Mick Mulvaney, played in this process. So it's too early to say, what, if any, legal ramifications this has, but this does open the door, it looks like, potentially to some new political question marks for President Trump, for his administration, and for his administration officials.
All right, Sean, thank you very much.
Thanks, guys.